What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here, recording at a mobile type studio situation. So I'm doing the best I can with this. I will be back in studio tomorrow and maybe actually later tonight with the second episode because there's just so much to cover. I want to start by talking about what's going on with the First Man movie. Ryan Gosling featuring Neil Armstrong and the Man on the Moon, featuring the great moment in American history and in the world, leaving out the scene where he plants the American flag. Now, it's interesting to me that they did that, and a lot of people are obviously pissed off about it. Ryan Gosling, of course, comes out and says that he had spoken to their family members, and Neil Armstrong didn't fancy himself any type of hero, and that this was more about a step forward for mankind than necessarily making a pro-American type film. Gosling said he didn't think Armstrong viewed himself as, quote, an American hero. Now, I doubt it. But, you know, these are men that went up in a time in the space program where almost 50% of people were dying. He served in the Navy and in the military beforehand. And I doubt the guy wasn't patriotic in some way. When you sign up for this type of thing, you are putting your life on the line for your country. But we did get one of the best BTFO moments in American history out of this when Clarence Swirly tweets, Ryan Gosling to General Chuck Yeager, by the way, another American hero, the first man, I believe, to break the speed of sound in an airplane. Ryan Gosling is coming out with his the movie First Man, where portrays Neil Armstrong as a liberal, progressive, anti-Trump in spirit, non-flag waver. Probably agree with the national anthem kneelers too, at least in Hollywood's liberal imagination. For your info. To Chuck Yeager immediately replies, I guess it's not a BTFO necessarily, but the guy's like 95 years old, replies, that's not the Neil Armstrong I knew. Basically blowing out of the water all this rhetoric that Neil Armstrong didn't have a sense of pride in his nation, and just don't like it. I don't like it. What do you think about it? Now, the second story I want to cover is a spicy one. For all of you who remember Thomas the Thomas the Tank Engine from your childhood, it has gotten woke. And as you know, when a cartoon gets woke, it's always a great thing. So Thomas the Tank Engine travels the world. The beloved locomotive broadens his horizons with new train characters, including Ashima, Young Bao, and Shane. The new series of the children's show, Thomas and Friends, will see the beloved locomotive traveling the world, where he'll meet foreign trains, including Ashima from India, Young Bao from China, and Shane from Australia. The band's biggest relaunch in the 73 history aims to make the show more relevant for the next generation. Now called Thomas and Friends Big World, Big Adventures, the brand's relaunch in 73 history will aim to appeal to a wider global audience. Yes, that's right. We've got the #1 Blue Engine from China. We've got Nia from Kenya. We've got new Thomas friend Rajiv from East India. And then we've got Zilong. You know, it's a faster paced, increased humor, music, fantasy elements, and drama sequences. Well, it's gotten woke. Long-running favorite Percy, Gordon, James, and Emily will be joined by the additions of Nia and Rebecca, along with Thomas. Other new female creatures described by the show's bosses as strong girl characters, including Isla, an Australia flying doctor plane, Noor Jihan, a Royal Express engine from India, and Hong Mi, a #1 Blue Tank Engine from China, and the female railway controller, Cherubala from India. Now we've got drama out of DragonCon, of course, because, of course, people who just attend these things with the sole purpose of being offended have found a tiny sign in a tiny corner of DragonCon 2018. Hey, DragonCon, what's up with this Keck bullshit. Not okay. Yeah, well, I'm sure somebody who lists their pronouns in their Twitter profile is going to have a hot take on a tiny booth said KekCon, Atlanta's premier gaming convention. And then we see, obviously, this person espousing absurd lies about our Lord and Savior and the Kekistani people, saying things like, taking something fun from another culture and making it something as insidious is the whitest thing ever. I mean, it is absolutely, it's like people are willingly misinterpreting Kek. Still, in 2018, can you believe how old this meme is? Like, you don't know that. I mean, it's the same argument like, Hitler drank water. If you drink water, you're just like Hitler. Or you breathe air, just like a Nazi did. I mean, you have, for those who didn't know, according to Southern Poverty Law Center, which, Kek is the deity of a semi-ironic religion that the white nationalist movement has created for itself online. Nope. And of course, I'm sure Mary Robinette Noel, who of course also has her pronouns listed, was there at DragonCon. Nope, she probably wasn't, right? She has her Patreon listed, of course, in her Twitter profile, and her job is to be offended online. Oh, here we have Dankula coming in immediately with a wrong. And then blocked. People don't like it when you point out their lies. How did you reply to this when you're blocked? That's interesting. I mean, she's willingly perpetrating a lie and getting blown out in her own feed. But you know what? This is what happens when social justice infects the nerddom, the nerd culture. They attend our conferences and just sit around looking for something to be offended by because that's how they make their money. Now for our main topic, Riot Games has completely stepped in it again, openly discriminating against men at their PAX panel, that doubling and tripling down online, eventually having internal Slack conversations, bashing their customers, leaked online, it's a complete disaster for Riot Games. And look, if you play League of Legends, that's okay. But just know that if you're male and you do that, the company that is taking your money doesn't care for you, doesn't really matter to them that you're loyal to their game and that you spend money with them. It only matters to them what gender you are. So it started out on September 1st being reported by Billy over at One Angry Gamer that they had a session in room in room 613. We're hosting a variety of sessions to support women and non-binary folks who are interested in getting into games professionally. That's right. If you're a man and interested in getting in games, you are not allowed. Stop by to learn from and get to know some of the badass women of Riot. Tentative schedule below, but all subject to change. Stop by the room Monday to Friday for daily schedule. Note that the first line in the session would only be available to women and non-binary folks. In the comment section, some gamers who are eager to appear at the sessions to learn more about game design, designing champions, learning from the producer, narrative writing, and establishing careers in production, asked if the sessions were going to be exclusively for women and non-binary folks, and if males would still be welcome. Cosplayer and Riot Games recruiter Mel Caponero responded by saying, the first two events in room 613 will be only open to women and non-binary folks. Just say you're non-binary, right? I mean, gender's fluid. There might be some exceptions. I'll try to post on Twitter the schedule. However, all activities of the room will be open to all after 3 p.m., including the Ask Rito. The post was heavily downvoted and may not even appear in the archive, but it's still visible on the official website. Essentially, Riot's new policy moving forward is that it's okay to openly discriminate when you're discriminating against men. Of course, this is the way it is in Hollywood. This is the way it is in society, and we, as the consumers, have to continue to punish these companies by stopping spending money with them. Various commenters called out this policy, noted that the sexism is in either direction is not good, and excluding people from attending the event on race or gender is wrong. A few social justice warriors came in to defend Garcia, claiming that due to men having a, quote, massive advantage If getting into games and making up 75% of the people in game development, Riot needs to exclude men in order to help women and non-binary folks make it in the gaming industry. Now, this is, of course, total bullshit. I mean, it should be entirely merit-based. You hire the best developer for the job. Hiring somebody who is not as good as another candidate based on their genitals is sexism. And then we saw internally Riot Games dev Daniel Z. Klein defending sexism, racism, and discrimination against men. His Twitter has been full of anti-male tweets lately. And then we're going to get to the actual leaked Slack conversations from employees. But the League of Legends subreddits currently have a post discussing Klein's tweets where he attempted to defend Riot's position to discriminate against men and even went so far as to defend discrimination. In a Twitter thread that was posted on August 31st, Klein wrote the following: "The most commonly thrown around arguments is that this is being sexist against men, just like racism, and that you can't fix a problem by doing the opposite of what the problem is." Cool. That's all bullshit, he says. Systematic sexism and racism exist at the intersection of bigotry and power dynamics. Racism isn't just being called the N-word. It's that plus no one caring when you protest and not given a loan a white person would have gotten, or being shot by the police for no reason. Oh my God. The reason that sexism against men makes no sense as a concept is that men have all the power. That's right, men do have all the power. They're privileged in so many ways, from small invisible things to large outrageous things. Like the confessed abuser, like Louis C.K. can just have a comeback and that's fine. Yeah, he did one stand-up and was heavily criticized online by literally every blue check mark on Twitter. I wouldn't exactly call that nobody saying anything. This guy, these guys boil my piss. Men are ridiculously overrepresented in gaming. Representation doesn't matter. It's diversity of thought and skill, not your sex or your race. This guy is just racist. They're listened to when women are ignored, prove it. Promoted when women are passed over, prove it. Lauded for speaking out when women are being called difficult to work with, prove it. I mean, it is absolutely absurd. Klein is objectively wrong here. According to California civil and labor law, it's illegal to discriminate based on age, race, national origin, religious affiliation, or gender. These laws are outlined by the Department of Industrial Relations. Again, since Riot Games is located in California, this applies to all events, employment opportunities, and establishment services. Nevertheless, there are still laws pertaining to discrimination of civilians. Again, so this is all bullshit. This is all just lip service, meaningless blathering by a social justice warrior who cares more about digital backpats from fellow blue checkmarks than getting the right person for the right job. It's disgusting to me. This kind of behavior is so sickening, to just openly discriminate. There are further revealed that Riot Games spites in its own user base when threads from the Slack channel for Riot-only employees was leaked in a subreddit thread where images indicated that Riot employees supported the denigration of their community and supported Klein's comments despite them advocating for the violation of state law. Here's an employee. I think it's far more concerning. Is the thread that follows around Rioters' responses on Twitter. I know it's a touchy subject, but I don't think it's the way to address the community, engage in conversation on the topic, in particular, inviting discourse on the topic on Twitter, then telling him to fuck off and sea line somewhere else. That was him. He did that. That was Klein's tweet. Somebody sent that to me on Friday. But then you see, I think it helps marginalized people to see solidarity from the person with clout at Riot. I agree with Daniel that the Reddit thread is a toxic landfill, and I think it's fine for him to address a toxic group of men as they are. Again, you don't know that they're men. I don't think we need to cater to them. I think silence is complicity. I understand the business implications behind the decision to avoid it as a company, but I'm glad to work at a place where we can call a spade a spade. Okay, well, you're a racist. If you use any of their software, if you play any of their games, I highly recommend just taking some time off and giving your money to a company that doesn't hate you. I mean, OMG, these Twitter threads are hot garbage. I couldn't agree more with Klein's tweets. Yeah, maybe his tweets, quote, don't help the conversation, full stop. Then you don't, then you're basically saying you don't care. But with folks posting about misandry could be more polite. But honestly, there's no helping these people. The folks who it does help, my guess, women and non-binary folks reading these tweets and seeing a rioter taking a passionate personal stand in defense of their space and the company's actions. Without that, I could see interpreting the stuff as a publicity stunt and not engaging with it. I'm not brave enough to roll around on social media with a red name, but I salute D. Klein for speaking his heart and defending underrepresented players. This is why he does it, right? He does it for digital backpats. Why don't you just make the game? And then you see Riot stand by their decision to discriminate to help recruit women in gaming. We held PAX workshops for women and non-binary people. We're proud of that and stand with the rioters at PAX. Regarding the conversations about this, we need to emphasize that no matter how heated a discussion, we expect rioters to act with respect. This is probably talking about D. Klein's hilariously bad tweets telling people to fuck off, and it's the same stuff that we saw with Jessica Price. These people get into these companies and they make it way more about activism than they do actually producing a good game. So all I can say is if you currently play League of Legends, you should probably consider finding something else, giving your money to a company that doesn't openly discriminate against men and see nothing wrong with it.